If a woman is secretly falling for you, she won't always come out and say it. Most men are blind to our signals and end up stuck in the friend zone. But here is the honest truth. We reveal our hearts through subtle actions that speak louder than words. Stop guessing today. Once you spot these 6 hidden signs, you'll know exactly if she sees you as the one. And stay focused because sign number 6 is the quiet signal that most men are too afraid to act on. Number 1 is what I call the proximity test. One of the clearest signs a woman feels a deep connection with you is when she deliberately moves into your personal space. Pay close attention to this because in Western culture, and especially here in America, we treat our personal space like a protective boundary. We usually keep about 18 inches or an arm's length of distance from people we don't know well. It is a natural safety mechanism we use to navigate the world. But when a woman has developed genuine feelings for you, that boundary begins to dissolve. You might notice it in subtle ways. Maybe you are standing in a room with plenty of empty space, yet she chooses to stand right next to you. Maybe when she shows you something on her phone, she doesn't just hold it out, she leans in, closing the gap significantly. It is a shift from polite distance to comfortable closeness. Here is the female logic behind this that most men miss. We don't do this by accident. When we close that physical gap, we are trying to establish a connection. Biologically and psychologically, a woman gravitates toward a man who makes her feel secure. By stepping into your space, she is unconsciously showing that she feels safe with your presence. She isn't feeling threatened, she is feeling connected. It is a nonverbal way of saying she values your company and wants to bridge the emotional distance between you. She is signaling comfort and emotional openness in that moment. However, here is where so many men misread the situation. The instinct to be polite kicks in. You think you are being respectful of her boundaries, so you take a step back. You shuffle away to give her more room. You think you are being a gentleman, but let me be honest with you. That step back can be confusing. To a woman who is showing she is comfortable, your retreat can be misread as disinterest. It signals that you might be nervous or that you prefer to keep your distance, which can interrupt the connection she is trying to build. A grounded man handles this differently. He understands that her closeness is a sign of her comfort. He does not retreat. He stands his ground. This is the stoic turn. When she moves into your personal space, simply stay rooted where you are. Maintain that proximity and look her in the eyes. By remaining grounded and relaxed while she is close, you send a powerful signal back. You are telling her, I am comfortable with you too. That kind of composure is incredibly reassuring. It shows you are steady and reliable. So the next time she steps into your bubble, just breathe and accept the moment. Let the connection happen naturally. That is how you pass the test. Sign number 2 is what I call the submission of will. Now, before you react to that word, let me explain, because this is often the most misunderstood signal in modern dating. We live in a world where women are encouraged to be fiercely independent. We run businesses, we manage teams, and we make high-stakes decisions all day long. We are conditioned to be in control, to be strong, and to never let our guard down. So, here is the secret signal. When a strong, independent woman suddenly stops fighting you on the small things and starts deferring to your judgment, it is huge. It might sound like this. You ask her where she wants to go for dinner, and instead of giving you a list of demands, she looks at you softly and says, I trust you, you pick. Or maybe you are debating a plan for the weekend, and instead of arguing her point, she smiles and says, okay, let's do it your way. Most men completely miss the weight of this moment. They think she is just being indecisive or that she doesn't care. But the female logic here is much deeper. For a woman who is used to holding the weight of the world on her shoulders, letting someone else take the wheel is not an act of weakness. It is an act of rest. It is a luxury. We only offer that luxury to a man we genuinely respect. When we hand you the power to decide, we are essentially saying, I feel safe enough with you to stop leading. I trust your competence enough to follow. We are testing your capacity to lead so that we can finally relax into our feminine energy. But this is where the nice guy syndrome destroys the attraction. When she hands you the ball, most men drop it. She says, "You decide," and the man panics. He wants to be polite. He wants to be a good guy, so he pushes the decision right back onto her. He says, "Oh, I don't care. Whatever you want is fine with me," or "I just want you to be happy." Let me be brutally honest. That is not what we want to hear in that moment. When you refuse to make a decision, you aren't being nice. You are forcing her to continue being the leader. You are adding to her mental load. You are telling her, unintentionally, that you are not confident enough to chart the course. And if you can't even pick a restaurant, how can she trust you to lead in the bigger aspects of life? A stoic man recognizes this test immediately. He understands that her submission of will is a gift of trust. He doesn't ask for permission to lead, he simply leads. This is the stoic turn. When she says, "You pick," he doesn't hesitate. He looks at her and says, "We're going to that Italian place on 5th. Wear the black dress." Do you see the difference? It is decisive. It is calm. It is grounded. He isn't being controlling or demanding. He is simply accepting the responsibility she offered him. By taking charge of the plan, you are allowing her to step out of her masculine survival mode and into a softer, more receptive state. That relief she feels when she realizes you have everything under control, that is the feeling of her falling for you. So, when she steps back, do not ask her what to do. Step up and lead. Sign number 2 is what I call the leadership invitation. Now, let me explain this carefully because this is often the most misunderstood signal in modern dating. We live in a world where women are accustomed to managing everything. We run businesses, we organize teams, and we make high-stakes decisions all day long. We are used to being in charge of our own lives. So, here is the secret signal. When a capable, independent woman suddenly stops micromanaging the plans and starts deferring to your judgment, it is a massive compliment. It might sound like this. You ask her where she wants to go for dinner, and instead of checking reviews or giving you a list of options, she looks at you and says, "I trust you, you pick." Or maybe you are debating a plan for the weekend, and instead of arguing her point, she simply says, "That sounds good, let's do it your way." Most men completely miss the weight of this moment. They think she is just being indecisive, or that she doesn't care. But the female logic here is much deeper. For a woman who carries the mental load of decision-making all day, letting someone else take the lead is not about being passive. It is about finding relief. It is a luxury. We only offer that luxury to a man we genuinely respect. When we hand you the power to decide, we are essentially saying, "I feel safe enough with you to rest. I trust your competence enough to let go of the wheel for a while." We are testing your capacity to be a partner who can share the load. But this is where the nice guy instinct often backfires. When she hands you the ball, most men drop it. She says, "You decide," and the man hesitates. He wants to be polite, he wants to be accommodating, so he pushes the decision right back onto her. He says, "Oh, I don't care, whatever you want is fine with me," or "I just want you to be happy." Let me be brutally honest. That is not what we want to hear in that moment. When you refuse to make a decision, you aren't being nice. You are forcing her to keep working. You are adding to her mental fatigue. You are telling her, unintentionally, that you are not ready to step up. And if you can't even pick a restaurant, she might wonder if she can trust you to handle the bigger challenges in life. A grounded man recognizes this invitation immediately. He understands that when she defers to him, it is a gift of trust. He doesn't ask for permission to lead, he simply accepts the responsibility. This is the stoic turn. When she says, "You pick," he doesn't hesitate or panic. He looks at her and says, "I've got a plan. We're going to that Italian place on 5th. I think you'll love it." Do you see the difference? It is decisive. It is calm. It is reliable. He isn't being controlling, he is simply carrying the plan so she doesn't have to. By taking charge of the logistics, you are allowing her to switch off her manager mode and just enjoy being with you. That relief she feels when she realizes you have everything under control, that is the feeling of trust deepening. So, when she steps back, do not ask her what to do. Step up and handle it. Sign number 3 is what I call the vulnerable gaze. This is perhaps the most subtle yet powerful indicator of female attraction, and ironically, it is the one that makes men the most insecure. We have all heard the advice that eye contact is king. You are told that if a woman likes you, she will lock eyes with you. She will stare into your soul. And while that is true in moments of deep intimacy, in the early stages of attraction, the opposite is often true. Here is the secret signal. Watch what happens when you catch her looking at you. If she is just being friendly or polite, she will hold your gaze easily. She might smile and nod. It feels light. It feels casual. But if she has deep, hidden feelings for you, maintaining eye contact can actually feel overwhelming for her. You will catch her looking at you, and the moment your eyes meet hers, she will look down. Not away, not around the room, but down. Let me explain the specific female logic here, because the direction of the gaze tells you everything. If she looks away horizontally, checking her phone, looking at the door, scanning the crowd, that is often a sign of boredom or distraction. She is looking for an exit or something more interesting. But when a woman looks down, it is an instinctual act of vulnerability. It is a sign of high attraction anxiety. When we look down, we are unconsciously yielding to your gaze. It is a shy, feminine response to feeling exposed. In that moment, your presence is so intense for her that she literally needs to break the connection for a split second to compose herself. It feels like you are seeing right through her, reading thoughts she isn't ready to say out loud yet. Often, this looking down is accompanied by a small, nervous smile or a quick adjustment of her hair behind her ear. This is the shyness that only comes out when the stakes are high. We don't get shy around guys we don't care about. We get shy around the man who makes our heart race. Here is the common mistake that kills this beautiful tension. The insecure man misinterprets this. He sees her look down and thinks, "Oh no, she's bored," or "she's not confident," or "she's ignoring me." He panics. He starts talking faster, trying to entertain her, or he asks, "Is everything okay?" Or, "Why are you looking down?" Please never ask that. When you point it out or panic, you force her to snap out of that soft, emotional state and back into her logical, defensive brain. You ruin the moment by demanding validation. A stoic, grounded man handles this completely differently. He recognizes that her breaking eye contact is not a rejection. It is a compliment. It means his gaze has weight. It means he is affecting her. So here is the stoic turn. When you catch her looking at you and she looks down, do not chase her eyes. Do not panic. Just pause. Keep looking at her with a calm, warm warmth. Maybe let a small, knowing smirk play on your lips. You are signaling to her that you see her nervousness, you understand it, and, crucially, you are not rattled by it. By simply waiting, by remaining silent and observing her for that extra second, you create a vacuum of tension. Eventually, she will look back up to see if you are still looking. And when she does, and she finds you there, calm, unbothered, and smiling, she will feel an immense wave of attraction. She realizes you are strong enough to hold the tension that she couldn't. You didn't need her validation to feel secure. That specific dynamic, her shyness meeting your calmness, is what builds the magnetic polarity between a man and a woman. So, let her look down. It just means she's falling. Sign number 5 is what I call the isolation move. This is one of the most deliberate actions a woman will take when she wants to deepen her connection with you. Yet it is also the one men most frequently overlook because it often feels completely casual. Here is the scenario. You are at a party, a bar, or a group dinner. The music is loud, people are laughing, and the energy is high. Suddenly, she turns to you and says, "It's getting a bit stuffy in here. Do you want to step outside for a second?" Or maybe you have just driven her home. You pull up to her driveway, the engine stops, and instead of unbuckling her seatbelt and hopping out, she sits there. She lingers. She checks her phone idly or starts a new topic of conversation that could have easily waited for a text. This is the isolation move. Here is the female logic behind it. Women are naturally social creatures. We thrive on group dynamics. If we are having a good time with our friends, we rarely want to leave that energy, unless there is someone in the room who matters more than the crowd. When a woman actively seeks to separate you from the herd, she is trying to eliminate the noise. She is trying to remove the distractions of the world so that she can have your undivided attention and you can have hers. We are creating a pocket of privacy. We are setting a stage. In a crowded room, we can only be polite and social, but in the quiet of a balcony or the stillness of a parked car, we can be real. We are testing to see if you can handle the intimacy of a one-on-one moment without the buffer of other people. The common mistake most men make here is treating these moments logically rather than emotionally. She says, "It's loud in here." And the logical man thinks, "Oh, she hates the noise. I should take her home." He offers to leave immediately. Or, in the car scenario, he sees the drive as mission accomplished. He thinks the date is over. He unlocks the doors, says, "Have a good night," and waits for her to leave so he can go home and sleep. Gentlemen, when you do that, you are essentially slamming the door in her face. You are taking a moment she carved out for connection and turning it into a logistical transaction. You are signaling that you are oblivious to the mood she is trying to create. A stoic, observant man reads the room. He understands that if she is lingering, the date is not over. He recognizes that stepping outside for fresh air is rarely about oxygen. It is about you. So, here is the stoic turn. When she initiates the isolation, do not rush to end it. Slow down. Match her pace. If she lingers in the car, you lean back and relax. Turn your body toward her. If she asks to go outside, go with her and find a quiet corner. But don't just stand there looking at your phone or watching the street. Use that isolation. This is the moment to drop your voice an octave. This is the moment to shift the conversation from funny stories to something more personal. She created the silence. Your job is to fill it with presence, not noise. By simply staying in that pocket of time with her, by not rushing to the next thing, you are telling her, "I am here, I am present, and you have my full attention." That feeling of being the only two people in the world, even just for 5 minutes, is what transforms a casual attraction into a deep emotional bond. And finally, we arrive at sign number 6. This is the ultimate signal. I call it the invitation of silence. If you forget everything else I have told you today, remember this. The most powerful communication between a man and a woman does not happen when they are speaking. It happens when they stop. Here is the scene. You are with her. Maybe you are at dinner, maybe you are walking, or maybe you are sitting in that parked car we just talked about. The conversation has been flowing effortlessly. You have been laughing, sharing stories, exchanging ideas. And then, suddenly, the words stop. But pay close attention to how they stop. She doesn't pull out her phone to scroll through social media. She doesn't look around the room looking for a distraction. She doesn't look bored or restless. Instead, she sits there, in the quiet, looking right at you. She is calm. She is expectant. She is comfortable. To the untrained eye, nothing is happening. But to a woman, everything is happening. Here is the female logic. Generally speaking, women are verbal creatures. We connect through words. We use conversation to build bridges and fill gaps. When we are nervous or unsure, we tend to talk more to avoid awkwardness. So, when a woman voluntarily stops talking and allows a silence to hang in the air between you, she is signaling a massive shift in dynamic. She is telling you that she is done with the getting to know you phase. She is done with the pleasantries. She has run out of words because words are no longer enough to express what she is feeling. By creating that silence, she is clearing the stage for you. She is handing you the baton. She is practically shouting without making a sound, "I am ready, make your move." This is the greenest light you will ever get. Yet, this is where 90% of men panic. We call it the fear of dead air. The average man feels that silence is a sign of failure. He thinks, "Oh no, the conversation died. She's bored. I need to say something funny. I need to keep her entertained." So what does he do? He shatters the moment. He starts babbling. He asks a random question like, "So, how is your work going?" or comments on the weather. He fills that beautiful, tension-filled silence with noise. And in doing so, he deflates the entire romantic bubble. You can physically see the disappointment in a woman's eyes when a man talks his way out of a perfect moment. A stoic, grounded man does not fear the silence. He embraces it. He understands that this silence is not empty, it is heavy. It is heavy with chemistry, with potential, with unsaid attraction. So, here is the stoic turn. When the conversation drops off and she is looking at you, do not rush to speak. Do not rescue the moment. Let the silence sit there for 3, 4, 5 seconds. Use that time to look at her. Look at her eyes. Look at her lips. Breathe. By staying quiet, you are ratcheting up the tension. You are showing her that you are comfortable enough in your own skin to just be with her. You are showing her that you don't need to perform like a court jester to keep her attention. In that silence, you are communicating that you understand exactly what is happening, and usually, that is the moment where you lean in. That is the moment where you brush a strand of hair from her face. That is the moment the dynamic shifts forever. She gave you the silence as a gift. Don't fill it with noise, fill it with action. And finally, we arrive at sign number 6. This is the deepest indicator of emotional connection. I call it the shared silence. If you forget everything else I have told you today, remember this. Real connection is not measured by how much you talk. It is measured by how comfortable you can be when you stop. Here is the scene. You are with her. Maybe you are at dinner, maybe you are walking or sitting in the car. The conversation has been flowing effortlessly. You have been sharing stories and exchanging ideas. And then, suddenly, the words stop. But pay close attention to how they stop. She doesn't pull out her phone to scroll through social media. She doesn't look around the room seeking a distraction. She doesn't look bored or restless. Instead, she sits there, in the quiet, looking right at you. She is calm. She is relaxed. To the untrained eye, nothing is happening. But to a woman, this is a massive shift in dynamic. Here is the female logic. Generally speaking, when a woman feels awkward or unsure, she will talk more. We use words to build bridges and fill nervous gaps. We perform socially to keep things smooth. So, when a woman voluntarily stops talking and allows a silence to hang in the air between you, she is signaling that she feels safe. She is telling you that she is done with the social performance. She doesn't feel the need to impress you or entertain you anymore. She feels secure enough to just exist in your presence. It is a sign that she has lowered her guard completely. She isn't waiting for you to do something. She is enjoying the fact that she doesn't have to do anything. Yet this is where 90% of men panic. We call it the fear of dead air. The average man feels that silence is a sign of failure. He thinks, "Oh no, the conversation died. She's bored. I need to say something funny." So what does he do? He shatters the moment. He starts babbling. He asks a random, meaningless question about the weather or work just to make noise. He treats the silence like a problem that needs to be fixed. And in doing so, he unintentionally pushes her away. You can almost feel the disappointment when a man breaks a moment of genuine peace because he is too insecure to let it last. A grounded stoic man does not fear the silence. He understands that this quiet is not empty, it is full. It is full of comfort and trust. So, here is the stoic turn. When the conversation drops off and she is looking at you, do not rush to speak. Do not try to rescue the moment, because the moment does not need saving. Let the silence sit there. Use that time to just breathe. Look at her with a calm, warm appreciation. By staying quiet, you are communicating something powerful. You are telling her, "I am comfortable enough in my own skin to just be with you." You are showing her that you don't need to perform like an entertainer to feel worthy of her time. That stillness communicates confidence more powerfully than any clever pickup line ever could. In that silence, you are validating her safety. You are proving that you are a man who can hold space without feeling the need to clutter it. She gave you the silence as a sign of trust. Don't fill it with noise, just be present in it. That is how a connection goes from casual to profound. You now have the decoder. From the way she steps into your space to that comfortable shared silence, these aren't accidents. They are quiet invitations. She has lowered her guard because she sees something in you worth trusting. But here is the final truth. A woman can only open the door. She cannot force you to walk through it. She is waiting for a man who is grounded enough to notice and bold enough to lead. So, the only question remaining is this: are you ready to step up and claim that connection? Or will you let your doubt keep you on the sidelines?